There we go.
Seems a bit like this. Color.
What does that mean? Oh, yeah. Yes, yes. Got it.
Sorry, it's probably not right.
I I got it.
So anybody who's talking, hold the microphone towards you to talk, then you can turn it back to center. They will not pick you up as loud as you need to be where they are. There is still a good chance that they may pick you up. So don't say anything under your breath. So
they're all live.
Yes. They're all live.
So theoretically, if it was where they were, it should be able to just rotate. So that's why they rotate to the table. So make life easier as you go.
Welcome to the annual Community School District Board meeting. Today is September 9th. It's 5:33 p.m. We have many guests here this evening. The board's primary objective is to conduct the regular business of the district as we do each month. We understand many of you are here for one or two specific reasons, and we ask that everyone remains respectful, kind, and dignified as we move through our agenda. If you would like to speak up during public comment, please ensure that you've signed up. If you haven't, we can get another sign-up sheet for you right up here at the podium. Speakers will be called in the order in which they are filed on the sheet. Due to the high number of individuals that would like to speak tonight, per board policy, we're going to limit comment to 3 minutes per person. However, we are not going to abide by the 30-minute total rule. When it's your turn to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and your address for the record, and return to your seat when finished. As a reminder, the board does not respond during public comment. We kindly remind everyone to remain respectful towards community members and board members throughout the meeting. We appreciate your attendance and participation tonight. I now call the meeting to order. Please stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here.
Ben Metzger. Here. Rob Keller.
Here.
Ed Christensen.
Here.
Donna Kramer. Here. Ryan Worley.
Here.
Sue Wilson.
Here.
Good news.
I have a few things to highlight. One is, and I shared this on Friday, Samantha Jensen.
We can't hear you.
Turn it on.
Your mic on?
Samantha Jensen. Samantha Jensen. Samantha Jensen. Who is a high school math teacher, did an externship over the summer, which is an opportunity for teachers to go out and get real world practice to bring back into the classroom so as they're teaching they can make connections with their kids. We also received notification from the Iowa Boys Association that we were one out of 185 schools, or about 50% in the state, without any ejections from any of our sporting events. And so that's a commendable letter that we received. We have additional entrees at our elementary level. We are offering them a yogurt meal as well as chicken nuggets, which may seem silly to bring up, but it's allowing kids to eat meals that they really like. And so kids have food in their stomachs, which feeds their brain. And so that's been a really good thing and a great change for us. Homecoming is coming up September 16th through the 21st. And so if you want to be in the parade, you want to get your own float, that's fine. I know we will have a board float in the parade as well. And then Leanne Paulson received a $500 donation for her classroom from PEI, and she has used that and shared that to gather supplies for her students and get things, unique things for her classroom. And we have a new Pride of Indianola trailer coming. So they have been fundraising as well as some activity funds and some district funds. So we will now have 3 trailers which will help them transport their instruments and things to and from. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board member reports. I'll start off this evening with a couple of notes that I have. We have 11 staff members that recently completed their master's degree. It's a great accomplishment, not only for them, but for the district and for our students. Very thankful for their continued work in themselves to be able to pour into our students. The other item that I had written down for board member reports was hopefully to introduce everyone tonight to Officer Ross Marshall, our newest SRO, as he officially joined the school district at the beginning of the school year, but unfortunately he was not able to be here tonight. I believe Officer Hackett and Captain Hawkins are here this evening, so thank you very much for the support from the police department. Any other board members? Any other board member reports?
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate our show choir, and our show choir over the last couple of years has really, really improved, and so much that they've been invited to compete at the national competition at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville at the end of February. And that actually involves 100 of our students. So we have our performers, our crew is all student-based, and then their music is all done by our band students. So looking forward to watching them this year, and that's just a really neat honor for those students. They work really hard in that. For the parents in the room, I don't know if you've heard about the new thing that our administration implemented, which is called the Smart Pass. You can ask your middle schoolers or high schoolers of their thoughts on it, but it's a way to maybe give the students a little bit more accountability as to where they are at certain times in the buildings. And it also helps our teachers identify maybe some things our kids are struggling with but haven't come forward with it. So it has worked really well these first 3 weeks, so I was excited to see that. And then for all the students in the room, I've heard from a lot of our administrators and our school resource officers that they are doing an amazing job with the parking and the new things that we've had to do to start our building. So for the students, thank you for your graciousness in this change this year, and thank you parents for watching our students as they cross 92 and get to where they need to be.
Mrs. Paul, I would like to say I had a video sent to me from the 3rd graders, and they totally agree with you on the lunch choice options, that extra choice. So I had a nice video, and they were all talking about what things they like about school so far this year. And I think some teachers have said that a lot more of them are finishing their meals, and the kids were like one after another, yeah, we love that. We love the extra choice and stuff. So that might have been part of their favorite parts of the day too. So did you mention the girls cross country? I couldn't totally hear everything you were saying.
No.
Just winning the 2 invitationals now, first place in 2 invitationals, and then I also had, let's see here, the Emerson and Irving elementary science teachers were selected to participate in a year-long science professional development at Drake. It's part of a grant obtained from the National Science Foundation, which 12 Iowa teachers of 5th graders will receive intense professional development feedback on their science instruction with the goal of improving 5th grade science achievement. 5th, 8th, and 10th grade are the only levels in which a science ISASP test will be administered. So providing our students top-notch science instruction at 5th grade will be extremely beneficial to the students as well as to our district as a whole. That's all I had.
I know tonight we're going to hear some differing opinions, but I'm going to throw us out of softball and just congratulate the fall sports and especially the football team. There's one thing in this room we all can agree on. It's really nice to beat Norwalk, right? So we're going to hear some differing opinions.
Anyone else? All right. Next item is delegations, petitions, and communications. Again, I will ask when your name is called for you to come up to the podium, state your name and your address for the record, and when you hear the timer go off, please finish up your thoughts and exit the stage.
First is Patty Alexander.
Hi, Patty Alexander, Indianola, Iowa. I feel bad for people who feel oppressed because of a word. Will changing that word really help them overcome that feeling of oppression? You know, all my life, I've been made fun of for being short. In fact, this podium points out how short I am. I'm standing on my tippy toes right now. I can't tell you how many times I've been teaching in a classroom and someone has come in and said, "Hey, where's your teacher?" Or how many times someone has said, "Stand up, Patty," when I'm already standing. I get it. It's a fact. I'm short. But I don't let that stop me from being what I want to be or who I want to be. And I refuse to let a joke or a word define me. Our classrooms are packed with 29 students, and the behaviors are out of control, and it's unsafe for everyone. There is not a lot of learning going on in these classrooms. That's too many kids for one person. The people who want to change the team name need to go to that classroom and sit with the teacher and see what she is dealing with. Changing a team name will not help teachers with behaviors or students learn to control their behaviors. The people who want to change the team name need to sit on a bus for 2 hours every day, just like some of our little people. Erasing the word Indian will not get these kids to school or home any faster. The people who want to change the team name need to work in a special ed classroom, trying to meet the needs of level 2 and level 3 students. Changing the team name will not provide resources for our special ed kids. A third of our students can't read on grade level. Guess what? Those poor little kids can't even read the word Indian. Mental health is at an all-time high. How is changing the team name going to improve mental health for our staff and our students? Please tell me the steps. These are just a few of the major issues our district is facing with, but yet we are quarreling over a word. If we change it, it will just be something else to divide us. We need to teach our students agency. We need to teach that a word or a joke should never, never, ever stop us from being successful or reaching our goals. Our students need to have the attitude of, I believe, therefore I achieve.
Next is Jane Whalen. After Jane will be Lori Matthew.
Jane Whalen, and I live at 511 South Wesley Street here in Indianola. and I've been an Indianola resident for more than 50 years. If you're taking a vote tonight, I am not for changing the Indians' nickname, because to me it means tradition, pride, and family, and it represents a value in our community. But as a concerned member of our community, I'm really tired of the discussion. Everybody needs to realize the impact of what a name change or a nickname change goes far beyond just a name on a jersey. A decision to change a nickname impacts our tradition, our identity. There's long logistical changes, and it has a substantial financial burden and negative impact to our community. So I challenge you, the school board, to make a final decision and move us forward. The Indianola Community School Board should focus more on improving our education system, helping our students be successful. Make sure you have set the stage for our students to have great writing, reading, math, and science skills. Enable our teachers and staff so they can develop and help our students develop leadership and teamwork skills that they will use all through life. I challenge you, the school board, to make sure that you're spending your time, energy, and resources to continually improve our Indianola School District. I challenge you to fulfill your mission of creating proud traditions with the commitment of excellence and unlimited possibilities for our students and staff, as we say on the website. And then finally, I want to thank you for volunteering and taking all of your time and effort to put into our school district and on our school board. More people should step up and volunteer, and you should not be harassed. You shouldn't be criticized on social media. That is not the way we should be handling things. If you have an issue, you should come and speak. We should listen to the school board, and we should move forward. You are making tough decisions. You are trying to do what is best for the majority of our community. Thank you.
Next is Lori Abernathy, for that will be Taylor Gibson, followed by Karen Long.
I'm not short, so I guess this is going to work. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Indianola School Board for your service. I sit on the school board. I know the time and the energy and everything else it takes into the subcommittees, meeting every morning, the monthly meetings. I want to say that I'm a graduate of 1982 with my 3 kids that graduated from here. I want to talk about the Indian Mascot name. Over Labor Day weekend, we went out to South Dakota. And staying at the hotel, we met a Native American family. They were having a class reunion, and they also were volunteering out at Crazy Horse. I sat down with the grandmother and the group, and I asked her, I said, I knew she was a teacher because I'd overheard her at breakfast, and I thought, what's a better way to find out information is to ask a teacher. She's honest and right forth to me. I asked her, can I ask you a personal question about Native Americans? She replied, yes. So I told her about the Indianola Indian name and asked her if that was offensive to her. She replied, no. Indian is a word. We are Native Americans. Have you ever applied for a job, filled out a doctor's note? Does it say Indian on there anywhere? It says Native American. She asked me if we dress like Indians, wear war paint, or do dances. I replied, no. I showed her the Mascot logo and asked her if this was a dream catcher. And I asked, did it offend you? She goes, well, first of all, it's not a dream catcher. And the next day, she brought me a dream catcher, which I forgot to bring. So she said, that is not a dream catcher. And she said, I asked her if all tribes feel this way. She replied that I have 3 different tribes in my family and 3 different races. She said, someday in 30 years, we could all be Native Americans, which I kind of chuckled at. I went and we went on to talk that morning. She said, she gave me a lesson in history. She said there are 27 states in the United States that have Native American Indian names. One of those is Iowa. Iowa has 1% Native Americans in the school system, and Iowa has 66 schools with Native American mascots and over 2,000 in the United States. South Dakota has 11% Native American in the school system. Also, the word Indian is all over the state of South Dakota. She asked me if I drove through, and I said I did, and I saw a lot of it. She said, "You think that there would be ones here trying to change that name?" No. We are proud. She feels it's an honor that the Native American is honored in this way. We have a lot of pride in what we do, and we are the Native Americans. I went on to tell her that I'm very proud to be an Indian and stand for that honor, pride, community, commitment, and courage. She told me if these people really want to make a change, they need to help in their Native American heritage. They should go to their school board and ask for a Native American class in the curriculum for incoming freshmen. My time up?
It is, thank you.
I would like the school board to think about this, as this should be not a school board issue, it's a public, and it should go to the public vote.
Next is Taylor Gibson, followed by Karen Wyman, followed by Theo Stroud.
My name is Taylor Gibson, and I am from Milo, Iowa. Hi, I'm Taylor Gibson, and I am currently a senior at the Indianola High School. I am an Indianola Indian, plain and simple. I am the student that wanted to put up the signs at the football game on Friday night so that parents and students were aware of this meeting and could come and help support us. However, I was denied that by the new high school athletic director and the new superintendent. The school board needs to have transparency about when the school board will have these meetings when discussing big topics such as this one. As I tried to talk to as many students on Friday night at the game, many students were unaware of this meeting. I should not have been denied the right to put up those signs, as it is a freedom of speech. I am not going to be pushed around when it comes to much, especially around topics discussing a whole name change on our school that has about 3,675 students who all have years of apparel that say specifically Indianola Indians. I have countless family members who went to Indianola, and I have many who are still in there, and many aunts and uncles who went here. In the past, we have been wrote letters from Native tribes saying that our name has nothing in it that is offensive to their culture. If we change the name, it will cost us about $1 million, on top of the $140 million we are using to build a new school currently. Even if we change our name, it would have to be replaced with a football field, wrestling room, gyms, every team's apparel, and every place in all 6 schools that are in the Indianola Community School District that say the word Indian. We need to focus more on what we are being taught, the quality of what we are being taught, and the test scores instead of a name change. What is more important, the name of our school or the students? There are about 2,000 schools that still have what people call Native American names just in Iowa. The name Iowa comes from an Iowa tribe, a Native American nation that lived in the area that is now the state of Iowa. Changing our name will not make an impact or stop people from complaining about it. The term Indian, in reference to the original inhabitation of the American continent, came from Christopher Columbus, a 15th century boat person. There is nothing in our name that is offensive to the Native American culture. For the new high school athletic director and the new superintendent, you guys knew when you signed to come work here that we were the Indianola Indians. Same goes for the students that are complaining. There are 325 public schools in the state of Iowa. You knew our name was the Indianola Indians. If you did not like that, you should not have chosen to come here. If you have the best interest for all our students at Indianola, then this is not the job for you. Our school has been the Indianola Indians since 1907. I am Taylor Gibson, and this is why our name should not be changed from the Indianola Indians. I have an email from Adam Hill, who was unable to be here but would like to have some things.
The board has received that email.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next is Karen Wyman, followed by Leo Stroud, followed by Ted Lidenham.
Thank you. I'm Karen Wyman, 822 Trail Ridge Road. Thank you for listening. We went to our granddaughter's first cross-country meet the other night, and I was looking around, and there were tents from the different schools, and there were eagles and lions and huskies and bulldogs and mustangs, and none of them were offensive to a race of people. And I just think that we've been asked to change by tribes, and we try to teach our students here to be kind and respectful to others. And I think there are all sorts of options of what we could be, but least of all is kind. So, thank you.
Next is Leo Stroud, followed by Ted Lidenham, followed by Audrey Miller.
Hi, I'm Cleo Stroud from Indianola. I'm also a bus driver for you. I started 3 years ago, and I'm still driving a subs route that I work every day, driving a bus. I'm also a 1980 graduate, and I graduated as an Indianola Indian. I also have 2 kids that graduated in 2001 and 2003, and they were graduated as Indianola Indians. I have 6 grandkids that are presently in the Indianola school system also. One of them will graduate in 2026, and the other 5 to follow right behind that as Indianola Indians. The name Indianola says it all. It's common sense that we are the Indianola Indians. So with that being said, it's time to put this Indianola thing, Indian, to rest. I'm asking you as board members to pass a law that this cannot be addressed again until the state of Iowa tells us that we've got to change the Indian name. Thank you.
Next is Ted Lidenham, followed by Audrey Miller, followed by Lisa Collins.
Thank you. Ted Lidenham is my name. I live at 1501 West 5th Avenue. And I've been a resident of the town of Indianola for 25 years. Sent 3 of my sons through this school system. The early chapters of my time here in Indianola, I was the pastor of 2 United Methodist churches. Went from there to Drake University, where I was a spiritual counselor and adjunct faculty. And it is abundantly clear to me and to everyone in this room that the point that was made at last month's board meeting has been proven to be true. That point was that the mascot, our current mascot, fails at the one job that a mascot has, and that is to unify. The fact that we are here, the fact that there is so much passion and opinion about it, these are all positive things. These are things that we should congratulate ourselves for, that we have a place where we can speak our minds. But it's clear that our current mascot does not unify. I want to applaud the board for your commitment to mental health. We've heard it several times with the speakers, and you have gone on record for having that as a high priority. And I'm sure that you all are familiar, as well you might be also, with the American Psychologist Academy, Association rather. It's called the APA, and I invite you to do a web search on that and to see what they have to say about this issue. Because what I'm interested in is listening to your opinions, but more importantly, I think the question that needs to be asked is this: does the current mascot do harm? Does the current mascot do harm to the mental health of our students and our community. Now, there are lots of opinions in the room, and I see a lot of heads shaking no, but the only people that are really qualified to assess that question, to answer that question, are the people who are willing to do the research in mental health, and that's where the APA comes in. The APA came out with a resolution imploring schools like ours to retire mascots that are offensive. And I invite you to take a look at the study that they recently came out with. And if you're looking for that link and you would like to have it, each of the board members have it, because I sent it to them last night. And the study is really clear that this has an impact not just on Native American students that are enrolled here, but on the entire community. These studies are conducted by people from Harvard University, from Stanford University, who have spent their lives dedicated to the mental health of our students. That's a priority. Thank you for lifting that up as a priority, and this is an issue that has an impact on us. Thank you for leading us out. The word education means to lead us out. Thank you for leading us out of this division and leading us into a place where all students feel safe.
Next is followed by Lisa Coates, followed by Paul Carter.
I'm short also, but my name is Audrey Miller. I live in 1010 East Ashland. I am a graduate of 1973 Indianola Indian. I am part Indian, and I am proud to be an Indian, and I am proud to be an Indianola Indian.
Next is Lisa Coates, followed by Paul Carter, followed by Maggie Sons. Maggie, you probably know who you are.
Hey, I'm Lisa Haas, and I live in Indianola, Iowa. One thing I just wanted to quick mention about that APA, I've read that study. It's a good study. It also is talking about insulting images of Native Americans, negative lessons from troubling, what was that? Sorry. What they're talking about is mascots that have harmful effects and negative effects on school personnel, and especially Native American students. So, anyway, I have had 5 of my 6 kids go to this school. The people that keep bringing this up have themselves chosen racism as a means to intimidate. I myself have been a part of it after the last time we discussed this. The person that brought us back to this discussion with her complaint doesn't even have children in this district. The school, on the other hand, has bent over backwards, thank you very much, and we do appreciate that, to make concessions to both sides. They have worked and done a lot to make sure that they are making a valid attempt to hear and act. Part of this discussion is coming up because a person brought an inquiry to the Department of Education about the school regarding their branding committee that they had put together to help try to make a solid branding for the school. I've looked. There are no studies that state that after we change a name, that it improves the quality of life for Native American students, or any student for that matter. When I did look, I've seen that Minneapolis and Chicago have made changes to their names. All have been done with a general consensus from the public to make those changes. There's nothing anywhere to state that the changes to the life of school makes more success for Native Americans. I've looked, I've checked, there's an exit studies. We have made changes here in town, the police department did, and I see no exit strategy from when they changed their branding. What has changed because of that? There's no data that I can pull for you to say, hey, this is a positive change, and this is what happens when you do that. We have reading and math scores in this district that are below state average, that we need to be addressing post-secondary readiness for our outgoing seniors. According to the Department of Education, they have all of our scores on there.
Right here in the responsibilities for our board of directors, one of the key and number one responsibilities is for overseeing the improvement of student outcomes, including student academic achievement and skill proficiency. We're now on our third superintendent in the last, 2-3 years? And so I guess I would just ask, I get that this subject keeps being brought up by the people who don't have kids in here in this district, but I would ask that the school board get back to the responsibilities that are here in listing, which is what are we going to do, how are we going to look at our new incoming superintendent and hold her to standards that bring our kids back.
Thank you.
Next is Paul Carter, followed by Maggie Sides, followed by Lynn Matson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Carter, and I live at 1210 East 2nd Avenue, also known as Highway 92. You guys are awesome in what you do. Topic I want to talk about is the mascot. I think it's great to have a mascot because I was once one during my old high school days. And if you do decide to change the name, I think you're making a big mistake. And mostly everybody out there can do it. I come here to do a lot of things, like run the scoreboard, and there is people in attendance, like the volleyball team. I run it for the volleyball team, the basketball team, and I help Miss Hawkins with track. Yeah, if I say your name, you're famous. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. I see practically every one of you at the games, so that's good. Don't change the name, because like I said, if you do, you're making a big mistake. I'd like to thank you for your time.
Next is Maggie, followed by Lynn Matson, followed by Jim Brown.
Hi, I'm Maggie Sides. I'm a senior here at IHS. I don't particularly care if you clap for me or not, because I've been through enough already. I suffer from mental health, and quite frankly, I think being an Indianola Indian is, it's not a bad thing, but it's also a little embarrassing to say, oh, I'm an Indian, when I'm clearly not. But we've been asked by the largest Native American tribe in Iowa to change our name. And I don't understand why it's so hard for us to not respect other people's opinions. If we should change something, if we've been asked to change something, we should change it. And we practically drove them. I don't know why you say we're honoring them when we drove them out of this land and then decided to name our mascot after them. I had this discussion in my 9th grade English class about traditions and how some traditions need to be stopped, and I feel like this is one of them. I was bullied for that, and I don't care. They're Native Americans, not Indians. A person from, 500 years ago named them that, and that's not what they are. There's a multitude of students at IHS who have been against the name Indianola Indians. My friend Ella has said we could be the inchworms. Inch by inch would be our chant. And I think the Indianola iguanas would be pretty cool. My family has been coming here for a multitude of years. I just moved here 2 years ago, and I come from a place where everything is quite conservative, and I feel like after coming from someplace like that, we need to maybe change our ways, because it's not that hard to be kind, and it may be easier to be mean, but it's not that hard to be kind either. I think in terms of respecting people, we should just change the name so that we aren't seen as offensive people, because I know that we're not. And that's what that matters, is because we are a kind and accepting community, and that's what we should strive to be, instead of fighting over changing a name that clearly upsets people. Thank you.
Next is Jim Jackson, followed by Jim Brown, followed by Scott Griffin.
Good evening, Indianola School Board. My name is Ren Matson, 2815 Grand Avenue, Des Moines. I'm a current resident of Des Moines and Indianola alum 2017. I love Indianola. I went to school K through 12 here. I spent my Saturdays reading in the gazebo at Buxton Park and watching hot air balloons take to the sky in the summer. I live in Des Moines now, but Indianola will always be my home to come home to. I want to keep spreading the love I have for my hometown, but in recent years, all I've felt is embarrassment. The time to change Indianola's mascot's name and imagery is long overdue. The current mascot in no way honors Indigenous persons. It is racist, dehumanizing, and rooted in white colonialist supremacy. Changing a mascot's name is not a new concept. Sports teams all over the country with similar, if not identical names, have been changing their names and logos, some even making changes as early as 1969. You'll find that article linked in the email I sent to you all earlier this afternoon. You have amazing, intelligent, and creative students here, many of whom could come up with a new name and/or design a new logo, one that everyone could rally behind while not being obscenely offensive. I am absolutely certain that there are better, less racist mascot names and logos out there that Indianola can adopt. I want to be proud to call Indianola my hometown. Change the name. Thank you.
Next is Jim Brown, followed by Scott Griffin, followed by Andrew Wall.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Fromm, 12603 S23 Highway, Ackworth. It's Indianola School District. I want to thank you all for being a part of the school district, the school board, and making these tough decisions that you do every month. And this is certainly one that I think is in your hands truly. There was a question earlier about this going to vote to the public. I think it's pretty obvious that the Indian name would remain if that was the case. It is a representative deal here. You guys are the ones that have to make this decision. So I appreciate your consideration on this. I was moved here in '68. I started junior high here. Went through junior high and high school. We've had 2 kids that both went through Indianola schools, and now 4 grandkids that have also gone through Indianola schools, and we have some great grandkids that are on the way now. I brought this. I was in Pet. You guys have seen this before. I was in a pet band in the '70s. That was a representation of the Indianola Indians on that drum head, and it's cute, whatever. But that was a depiction then. Obviously, we moved away from that in these days, and now it's the circle and eye and a couple looking feather-looking things on the back of it. So there is a move away from that. I think we also have to acknowledge the idea that the term Indian, even though it's accepted throughout the government, it is now being replaced or preferred name is Native Americans. I think we've heard that but from a few speakers. And that's, I guess, another reason to change it would be that that's not as valid a name as what it once was. Excuse me, it was accepted, is still accepted. Everybody knows what an Indian is when you say Indian. So, there's also a comment about racism. And I'm no expert, but Mary Webster does have a definition of racist, and I believe using people as a representative of somebody else is a racist idea. And you can look up the definition and decide how to go on that. The American Psychiatric Association was mentioned earlier. And I do have the thing, they did have a specific thing on Indian mascots. It says the use of American Indian mascots as symbols in schools and universities of athletic programs is particularly troubling because schools are places of learning. These mascots are teaching stereotypical, misleading, and too often insulting images of American Indians. These negative lessons are not just affecting the American Indian students, they're sending the wrong message to all students. So, I guess the question, people are not mascots. I believe that we should remove the name term Indian from our teams. Thank you.
Next is Scott Griffin, followed by Andrew DeWall, followed by John Coffin.
Thank you for your time. My name is Scott Griffin. I live at 802 East 1st Avenue here in Indianola. I've been following this matter for a long time. I've been here for over 40 years. I transferred here from another school that had a mascot that was a wildcat. I was bullied more there for being part Native American than I ever was here. In fact, I've never been bullied here in Indianola because of that. Has been neglected to be considered in a lot of these things is I hear arguments about we're not Indians, so we shouldn't be called Indians. But we're also not Huskies. We're also not Inchworms. I mean, any example that you want to come up with, that's not what we are. We're going to rally behind something, no matter what it is. If this name causes division, I guarantee you changing it will, because look at all the people here that don't want to change it. That's going to be just as harmful to those people that don't want to change. So I think that's a moot point. As I'm of Native descent, I feel it's important, in my opinion, to be heard as a Sac and Fox tribe member. Unofficial. The reason it's unofficial is because in contacting them to try and become a tribe member, they said that I couldn't. Not because I didn't have enough lineage, but because my mom's side of the family is where it comes from, and they're patriarchal. So in other words, my blood's not as good as theirs. That doesn't really matter for the name here today, but it does have some bearing on that because this is where I call home. This is where my tribe resides. This is the community I live in. Causing division simply because you don't like a name of something, it's not really helpful to anything. It's been somewhere I've been proud to call home for all these years. It's a place I've chosen that I can come and have connection with my heritage, even if it is only in name. Now, let's address the name thing for a second. If all Native Americans have moved away from the name Indian, I'm not sure why they even have a say in what this is. If they're not Indians, what are they talking about? It's not something I agree with. There's no reason to change it. The division will remain. Bullying will still continue. In my opinion, this is just a continuation of something that's been happening for hundreds of years. The eradication of any kind of history of the Native Americans. I've been to several of these meetings, and I've actually yet to see anyone from an official tribe standpoint come and talk about it. It's always
Thank you.
My name is Andrew DeWall. My address is 1801 Country Club Road, and I'm a senior here at Indianola High School. I'm a captain of both the football and basketball teams while also earning varsity letters in track and field and baseball. As a student athlete, I believe our mascot of the Indian shows pride, strength, integrity, and a sense of community. In no way do I see the name Indian as disrespectful, but more so as a sign of pride for our students and athletes. As a young kid who grew up in the Indianola community, I looked up to the athletes before me who wore the name Indians across their chests, hoping that would be me one day. Now that is me wearing the Indians across my chest, and I hope it can live on for the next generations of students and athletes of Indianola. Thank you for your time, and go Indians.
Hello, my name is Jonah Coughlin. I'm here to ask a question, and that is, what is the purpose of a district mascot or a district name? I'm going to share some messages from this community that I've received. Yeah. So first, there's a lot on here. So these are all quoted. If anyone isn't happy with our name, they should move away. Whoever keeps bringing this up needs to move to Carlisle and be a cat and leave the Indians alone. Why change for a few meatheads? If you don't like it, move to Des Moines. It's not that far. These are just an irrelevant percentage of irrelevant people. If you don't like the school's name, please leave the community. If you don't like it, leave town. If you're an outsider, don't move to Indianola in the first place. There will be some Indians on the warpath if they try to change things. I am unfortunately the minority in this community. When the sun sets, the majority will prevail. This town will be run by the majority, and that's not me. We live in a country that majority rules. I believe you are the minority, and those that are squawking can choose other communities and districts. You will fall on a deaf ear here. This is what our mascot brings. This is what our mascot brings out in people. This is not community. This is not an environment to be proud of. Thank you.
Next is the mayor problem, followed by Nicole and Mr. Wilson, followed by Brent Wilson.
I'm Amanda Coughlin. I live at 3623 113th Avenue. One common reason for using Indians in sports is that Indians are brave, strong, honorable, and proud. Indians are brave and loyal warriors, great fighters. That's true. A common proof of that is westward expansion, where Indians fought to keep their homelands and protect their families. The thing is, we lost those fights. We were conquered. The people who conquered us made us into their mascots. But we did put up a good fight, and we were loyal and brave. The same way any people of group acts when their families, livelihoods, their homes are threatened. We could apply the brave, loyal, strong, honorable, proud, loyal warrior label to anyone who has ever fought to survive. It's not unique to Indians. Today, Indians are still fighting. We are still fighting to defend our land, our culture, our families. We're fighting for the right to represent ourselves, to speak for ourselves, and make our own decisions on how our names are used. We're still fighting to defend our sovereignty as nations and our dignity as humans. Removing our name from being used by non-Indian people is not going to erase us or eradicate us from modern times. It would give us back the right to preserve our own cultures, speak for our own people, and give us the dignity to represent ourselves. Many people have expressed a deep emotional connection to their identity as an Indian here. Many people have expressed concern that if the name were changed, their own identity would somehow be diminished.
I'd just like to let you know that each of you are valuable and you are loved. You can be brave, strong, and intelligent no matter how our school district is called. All of our district's achievements, past and present, will remain regardless of the name. Our value does not come from our name. Honestly though, the biggest issue here is the effect on this community. I spoke with a former board member who remembers this discussion from the 80s. This has been allowed to divide this community for over 40 years. If we remove all the reasons about its negative effect on Native students, effect of perpetuating stereotypes on all students, and take out any reasoning regarding one group of people using another group for entertainment, what we're left with is this. If the name is changed, no actual harm is done. Yes, there will be a group of adults with bruised egos. If the name is allowed to remain, this issue will be allowed to continue to poison this community. How on earth is that seen as a good thing? That's what we want for Indianola, to be known as a community who says, if you don't like this, if you don't think exactly like us, leave. To be a place where teachers suggest students who think for themselves should open and roll out of our district. There are so many positive things happening in Indianola. Why would we allow this to keep driving us apart? What if it wasn't here? What if we give our student body an opportunity to create something new? Something we can all rally behind? Something that includes all of our students and all of our community members? How could that be negative? A community wouldn't be losing anything. Changing this would be a win for a community.
Next is Superintendent Wilson, followed by Grant Wilson, followed by Sherwood.
Hello, I'm Nicole Poindexter Wilson. I'm an Indianola High School graduate, married to an Indianola High School graduate, parent of an Indianola High School graduate, and an Indianola Middle School student, not a random outsider. I started writing this comment for the ears of my fellow townies, but then I realized I only need to speak to my elected officials. Elected officials who have been tasked with managing our school district in a manner that best cares for the students of our community. At this point, the continuation of the use of the name Indians is a direct action by you that directly increases the chances of our Indigenous students to experience mental distress. Sorry, I'm not a public speaker usually. There are multiple studies to prove this direct link between the two, including the American Psychological Association's resolution recommending the retirement of American Indian mascots. No decision will ever please everyone. However, you have been elected to protect the right to a free, appropriate public education for all students, not to avoid being uncomfortable amongst your friends and peers. Growth isn't comfortable, change isn't comfortable, but it's necessary, and in the end, it's rewarding for those who are willing to embrace it. Thank you.
Followed by Sherwood, followed by Mascot.
My name is Grant Wilson. I live here in town. I am a parent of activity participating children in the district. I spoke similarly a few years ago in 21 and have largely the same sentiment and call to action that the district should move forward to change the mascot to a neutral one selected and picked by the current student body to maximize involvement, to boost the relative community of screen printing businesses, and have a more contemporary mascot that would dovetail better with the district's institutional branding aims. But let's talk about representation a little bit. You can go to a Simpsons Storm game hundreds of times and never learn a thing about meteorology. You will not be honoring any nimbus clouds. It is not a celebration of weather. Naming and representation is a tricky thing. What I know about Indianola, to give some context for how we deal with racial representation, is that we've always been just a touch behind. So in the 60s, for 3 decades, we had extremely well-documented and well-attended blackface minstrel shows, charity fundraisers. And in the early 60s, a man named Dick White, because the universe has a sense of humor, in a newspaper column explicitly called whitewashing, because the universe's sense of humor is not exactly subtle, bemoaned and railed against being forced by outsiders to stop having blackface minstrel shows. The immediate next year, they tried a new ethnic format. This time, the focus was on Irish racial stereotypes. This time, it only lasted 1 year, because as it turns out, Irish Americans in Des Moines did not see the honor in it because, as it turns out, every group that gets big enough to have a vocal seat at the cultural table demands these things. It is never a uniform voice. It might not be 100% bean counted and bureaucratically precise, but it is consistent and obvious all the same. The Meskwaki formal tribal position, as well as, frankly, the vast majority of the Midwestern tribal positions on mascots, are well known and long established. The only thing from the first time around when I spoke to the board that I would like to repeat is that around 98 or 99, when I was at IHS, we had an Indigenous speaker come down and speak. We had a big school assembly. He was heckled mercilessly. That has stuck with me for years. But what really freaks me out is to go on Facebook community pages and see people who were at that exact same assembly, out of the left side of their mouth talk about how the mascot honors Native Americans, while out of the right side of their mouth go, hey, you remember that guy who came down? Yeah, we really showed him. I can't square that circle. That's not the type of legacies I want for my daughter, who goes to Indianola, and I think we can do better. We, of course, when we talk about how things can be decided, I just would like to remind the board that you are not a private school board, you're a public school board, and your unique charge is to cast the broadest net. And in order to do that and include the largest part of the community, we need to change the net.
Thank you.
Next is Sherwood, followed by Chris Young, followed by Michelle Martin.
Hello, my name is Sherwood Wilson. I'm a 7th grader at IMS. I've gone to Irving and IMS my whole life. A lot of my family, including my parents, brothers, aunts and uncles, etc., have graduated and been involved with activities at Indianola. I believe that having a mascot as an Indian can be offensive to Native Americans, as many tribes have said that they do not enjoy that representation. I think we should create a new and improved mascot that actually shows Indianola's spirit.
Next is Chris Young, followed by Michelle Martin, followed by Audrey Fusco.
Chris Young, I live at 516 East Kentucky Avenue. I want to start off by saying thank you to the board for allowing this discussion. While I know there may be a couple of you who agree with me on this matter, I also know there are several of you that do not. So allowing this discussion tonight is really appreciated. Honestly, I didn't want to speak tonight, especially after reading so many angry comments on recent social media posts. I do understand the anger and hate that may come with me speaking. So many have said that if I don't like it, I should just leave. I have 4 children, 3 that have graduated from Indianola High School, and a daughter who is a sophomore. My daughter is involved in several activities, and I'm a bit concerned she may receive backlash over my comments tonight. But I also know being silent causes even more harm. When as a society we continue to promote stereotypes, we continue to cause harm to others. Those stereotypes perpetuated with using the Indian brand causes us to believe that this is an antiquated race of people, which is so far from the truth. The different Native American nations in our state have asked us to stop using the Indian brand. They have released data showing it's detrimental to their communities. Meskwaki Nation specifically has called on Indianola to stop using the Indian brand. I often hear that using the Indian brand is no different than naming places after people, like the Chris Street Gym, or the Blake Field House, that it's a sign of respect and honor. It is in fact very different. Those places are named after individuals who have made huge impacts on our Indianola community. We do not call it the Caucasian Field House or the White Man Gym. Saying that would sound incredibly weird. It is what we are saying when we use a race of people as our brand. I love hearing all of the heartfelt stories about how being part of a team has impacted so many in a positive way. Changing the Indian brand does not change that. It does not change the pride you feel and the things you've accomplished. I go to the football games, I cheer for our team. It has nothing to do with the name on their shirts. I do see yelling, "Go Indians," when we are competing against teams who have actual Native Americans on those teams. I am not speaking out to create drama or division. I am not here because I want attention or I'm ashamed of our town. I think we really do have a great community. I just think we should respect the wishes of the different Native Americans who have asked us to change our brand. I used to be a person who didn't understand what the big deal was in using Indians as our brand. And then I went to several different events, and I listened to Native Americans speak on this. I think that their voices should be the ones heard. It should not be our opinion. It should be what they are asking us to do and respect their wishes. Thank you.
Next is Michelle Martin, followed by Heather Fusco, followed by Laura Benjamin.
I'm short, so I'm just coming with one question, and if we just spent money to rebrand, and I'm really certain it was a lot of money to rebrand for Indianola, but yeah, we are having a hard time keeping staff, especially associates, for our special ed department. Who's going to pay change all the, like Taylor said, all the little things that we may not think about, like your chairs, for instance. We'll have to get all new chairs. Like all the little things. That's what we need to discuss. If we can't keep staff, that's where our money should go, not changing the name.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Fusco. I live on West Salem Avenue in Indianola here. I have spoken to this board before on the topic of the Indianola Indians name. Some of you I have spoken to, and some of you are new to the board. By now, many of us have heard the debates. What is right? What's wrong? What is racist? What's not? What is offensive and what's not? And so on. I'm not here tonight to rehash the reasons for or against the name change, but instead to address a reality we've been living with for decades. This issue, whether we like it or not, has persisted year after year, dividing our community. We are at a crossroads where it's clear that inaction will not make this go away. You may temporarily subdue or quiet the matter, but history shows us it never truly disappears. Until this name is changed, we are condemning ourselves to revisiting this issue again and again at the cost of unity and progress. This is not about erasing fond memories or taking away pride in our community. I played soccer under the Indianola Indians name my entire sports career. As an unknowingly closeted queer kid at Indianola High, one of my few escapes was sports, particularly soccer. Some of my best memories are of that time, and they are not based around what our team name was called. The memories I cherish are about the people that I played with, the sport itself, and the sense of community I felt. Those experiences are not tied to a mascot or a brand, they are tied to the relationships we built and the goals we accomplished. Changing the name does not erase or diminish the good times we have all had here. It also does not make us wrong for enjoying those times under that name. It does not make us bad. What it does is allow future students, especially those of Indigenous descent, to participate in the same activities we did with pride and without conflict. This debate has dominated elections, meetings, and conversations for far too long. Once it's resolved, it will stop being the platform people feel they have to run on, and our community can move forward. Until this is done, we will continue to fight, argue, be divided, neighbor against neighbor, over an issue that has lingered for decades. So I ask, when can we be done with this? When can we finally focus on what school boards should be about? Supporting our students in all of their diversity. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Laura Benjamin. I know some of you, I don't know all of you. I grew up here. I've lived here since I was 3 years old. My family owns an
operates a business here in town. We make lenses for eyeglasses. So if any of you get your eyeglasses here in town and you enjoy seeing, you're welcome. I have brought up 7 children in this school district. 3 are graduated, 4 are currently still in the district. My oldest is a senior and the youngest is in 2nd grade. I really more would like to address the community right now, because with this issue and just seeing all of the comments and all of the different back and forth, it's not the community that I know and love. This is not, I love this town. I've been here my whole life. I'm locked in. I'm committed. I got all these kids. I got a business. You know, I'm here. And the way that I'm seeing people act, there are real people behind this issue. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying it's just political, and there are children involved, real children, one of whom came up here tonight to speak. And the disrespect that's been shown to these people is not my community. We can have different opinions and we can still respect each other. With the whole name, I've heard different arguments of things like it's part of the name of the town, it's a nickname. Well, okay, so what about the Carlisle Carls? What about the Ankeny Anks? We don't have to have it be as the nickname. It doesn't have to be the same thing. Basically, there are real people who are saying, these people are trying to protect their children, the adults that are involved in this. They're trying to protect their children just like any of us would do. I would protect my children to the ends of the earth. And if my child didn't want to participate in a sport because they didn't want to be labeled as a thing as they're participating, I don't know why that is. Why is that so hard? They are people, they are not things. Also, Indianola itself, there's not really like that deep of a meaning behind the name. We were named after a sandwich wrapper. Was it a good sandwich? Probably. It was an inspiring sandwich. We got the name from it, but there wasn't a lot of thought that went into it. And so then there also was not a lot of thought that went into being the Indianola Indians. Sandwich wrapper, basically. Anyway, that's all I got for you.
Next is English Speakers, followed by Evan Hodges, followed by Victoria Foster.
I'm English Speakers, and I've lived in Indianola since 2001. I have a 24 high school graduate from Indianola and a current student here. And for the record, I don't want to be here speaking in front of people, and I don't want to be part of this discussion, except I don't think the minority voice should have to fight tooth and nail to be heard. I'm going to read from the Indian Affairs Laws and Treaty Volume 2 Treaties, compiled and edited, published in 1904, with treaties from 1778 to 1888. It is over 1,000-page document. I'm just going to read a little bit about removing Indians from Warren, Marion County area. October 11th, 1842, treaties with the Sauk and Foxes, 1842. The Sauk and Foxes agree that they will remove to the west of the line running north and south from the painted or red rocks on the white breast, or before the 1st May of the next, that so soon after the President shall have assigned them a residence upon the waters of the Missouri. So we see that the landmarks of the White Breast Creek and the Red Rocks in our area of the state, they have to go to Missouri first. And then the United States will cause that the blacksmith and gunsmith's tools, the stock of iron and steel in hand of the present agency of the Sacs and Foxes to be removed. So they actually would have to fight tooth and nail because they would be removed. This treaty is signed by 22 chiefs, braves, and headsmen from the Sacs and 22 Foxes.
22 Chiefs, Braves, and Foxes of the, or 22 Chiefs, Braves, and headsmen of the Foxes. So there are names here on a treaty. We have names Chris Street Gym, Blake Fieldhouse. We do not honor any of those treaty signers and names of our school buildings. I'm wearing my band t-shirt tonight to show my school pride because the last 4 years I probably wear the shirt at jeans and Team Shirt Fridays at work when we could wear like a sports shirt. The Pride of Indianola Marching Band has been my favorite team, as my son has been on at band and theater where his life in high school. He worked as a team for countless marching band concerts, contests, and stage performances, never having to bear the name of Indians because the marching band did not use that. And with no hesitation, he would tell you that Indianola's theater department is internationally recognized as Thespian Troop 4575. The Indian Band and Theater programs exemplify pride, success, and unity can be achieved without calling ourselves Indians. He graduated this year, and now the chapter turns to my daughter, who's in 7th grade, and playing school sports for the first time. It seems like a game of chance if a sports jersey will be emblazoned with Indians or neutral representation such as Indian.
Thank you.
Next is Aaron Hodges, followed by Victoria Weston.
Hi, Abby Hodges, 1100 North O Street. I'll start by saying that I did not plan on speaking today. It's not really my cup of tea. And I'm not an Indianola Indian by birth. I'm a Norwalk warrior by birth, so don't hold it against me. However, I have 2 kids in the school system. One graduated in this last May, and then one who is a freshman this year. Personally, I do not feel it's necessary to change the logo, but that is not what compelled me to speak today. What compelled me to speak is, as much as we are a community, running this business and providing for the school is a business. And I have not heard anybody speak. I've heard people complain, but nobody has spoke and given any proposals, cost assessments, fundraising efforts, guidelines on how we do this successfully. I would like to understand where the funds will come from when we are dismissing teachers' associates, our math and reading scores are deficient, and if the change was to be voted on, where would the funds and resources be taken from our current students? Where in the budget will we find these funds? Given the current news out of Georgia this last week, I am wondering if our time would not be better spent discussing the safety of our schools and how we manage the mental health and physical safety of our
I don't know if you guys saved the best for last, but I'm going to just give you my thoughts. Real nervous. My family has been in Indianola community since 1960, and I know you said you were a graduate of 73. My dad was a graduate of 72. So I feel like, as those who have spoken, my family's got the most longevity here. I have seen our logo progress. I have my dad's original 1970s FFA jacket, and it's real racist. I've seen the Indian head. That was very popular when I was in high school here in 2000s. And we are now a dream catcher, but as Sue said, because she spoke with natives, that it's not even a dream catcher. It's a half circle with a feather.
That's Lori, not Sue.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Lori.
You are.
I'm nervous. I think that we have definitely progressed, and we have made very conscious decisions of where we've come. I hate that this keeps coming up. When I was in high school, we were slated to be called the Grape Apes. Yes, if you remember that, you remember that. And it's a point of contention for a lot of people. While I don't think that our community is 100% divided, I do feel that those who have spoken have valid reasons. But I am tired of this. It's been going on for too long, too many years,
We don't need to keep fighting about this. Yes, Indian is a very broad term. We don't need to be worrying about that. We need to be focusing on if our children are going to make it to the next grade, how they're going to be when they get out of the Indianola community. I don't think that we need to worry about a dream catcher or an actual person on it. We need to focus on where our money is being spent with teachers, associates, and keeping our kids educated, making sure that they are getting the resources that they need and deserve. We are a very strong community, and we are very full of love and respect. There are people who do take it very passionately, and that's going to be anywhere and everywhere. You can't not have that. So I do think that this does need to be put to bed once and for all, and let's hope that 2024 is the last time this has to happen. Just ask that you take a conscious decision when you make this decision and think about it long term. We've come a long ways, and we deserve the best for our kids. Thank you.
If there's anyone else who'd like to speak, now's your time. Go ahead and come on up.
Hello, my name is Scott Damon, and I actually, address 29 West Hillcrest. I actually started this meeting in my bed on YouTube, and that's just who I am. But I felt strong enough that I wanted to come down here. I've got family friends on both sides of the situation. One thing I'd like to encourage the board and to answer some of your questions about concerns about finances. It would be a lot of money to rebrand. What wouldn't cost a lot of money for the school district is removal by attrition. So when those chairs start going back, we don't rebrand them with the name Indians on them. When we're building the high school, we can put Indianola on the front of the high school. We don't need to put Indians on the high school. Sports uniforms, they go back. They've got to be replaced. We don't have to put Indians on that uniform. We're talking about pieces that booster clubs pay for that aren't necessarily coming directly out of the budget. But this is a way that I think we can make a transition. Do I think the conversation's over? No, I think everybody has to come to the table and make some compromises. How can we keep the Dreamcatcher logo and uphold the pride of the school, but also show the amazing heritage of the Native Americans? Is there a possibility? I don't know. But why are we having that discussion? And it doesn't have to happen here at the official board meeting. We could create a community group that has this discussion. Find ways to bridge the gap as a community. I've lived here for 3 years. You were talking about having historical family here. I probably am the person who shouldn't be up here saying something. But I surprised the mayor in a city council meeting saying, we looked at this district and compared to the rest of Iowa. And we chose this because, I kid you not, we chose this community because of this school. We didn't look at the name. We weren't concerned about the mascot. That wasn't the first thing we looked at. We probably won't leave if it doesn't change. But this community is better. This community can come together and find a way to say, here's who we were, here's who we want to be. Let's move forward together. And as a board, maybe you don't approve the name change today, but maybe you approve to not start branding new equipment with that name as a start. Commit to yourselves just that much. And let's not drag it out for years and years, but maybe we can find a solution. Thank you.
IHS. At the end of the day, I'm always going to be an Indian, an Indianola Indian. That's plain and simple as that. I think that this entire whole name change debate shouldn't be happening. I think that there are a lot of values with the title Indian. It represents our strength and how we are as a community. But also just taking into accountability, there are 8 other schools in the state of Iowa that have the nickname Indians. Are we going to change those too? I don't know, that's all I really have to say.
Hello, my name is Tim Overton. I'm a class graduate of 2010, lived in Indianola my entire life. I was on the speech and debate team with Indianola High School. I took home a state title, public forum. I did that. Not as an Indian. I did that as myself. It seems that there are several arguments here today that I would like to address, but I'm only going to address a few of them. On the affirmative side, we have the proposed change. It is the affirmative's duty to prove that the benefits outweigh the costs. That if we are going to change the status quo, it had better be for a good reason, or at least to reduce harm. The negative side is supporting the status quo, saying that we should keep things as they are, and that those benefits outweigh the cost of change. I believe that the benefits outweigh the cost when it comes to changing the name. And I think that the negative side of this argument, the only strong argument they have, is that the harms done to them by changing the name are greater than those harms done to Native Americans for centuries. Somehow, changing the name is a greater offense than what has been done to the population that we are so-called honoring. I think that the benefits of this name change open up possibilities for new pride, for new goals for this district. We've changed the tomahawk. We no longer do the tomahawk chop, correct? We got rid of the Indian head. We got rid of that, correct? My friend Emily Burge designed a new design. That happened in 2010. That was 14 years ago. What have we been doing? This will drag on for as long as it takes. We are not going back. We are not going back to a time where we had scalped them on our drum heads. We're not going back to a time where we wore Indian headdresses. We're not going back to a time in the 50s when schools were segregated. We are moving forward. And we will continue to move forward. And we should do that as a community. I put it on you, the school board, to be a leader, to be brave, to do the right thing. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nate Williams, now a proud Indianola Indian. Now, I would like to ask you guys a question. Who here wants to change the name? Anyway, one, couple here and there. Now, if you change it, you may please a couple people here and there. But it'll be like a mouse in the, getting a mouse cookie. There's no one milk, and keep going, and keep going. Now, who here wants to keep the name? One, two. Now, if you change it, you're going to piss off all these people, and then we'll keep going on, putting ourselves further and further apart. Now, this is going to keep it short because I'm hungry, and it's kind of late. Thank you guys.
I'm a retired United Methodist pastor. I'm a graduate of Indianola High School in 1976. In 1976, I was proud to be an Indian. In 1976, I didn't have any clue how offensive that was to a whole group of people. I moved back here to town 2 years ago because I wanted my daughter to be a part of a school system that wouldn't bully her for standing up for against racism, for standing up for people who were not treated well. I moved her here because I thought Indianola was a place where people would be kind, where people were a little bit more progressive than where we were. And yet this afternoon, in a Facebook argument I got into over this issue, when I said, yes, there are people who are offended, there are Native Americans who are offended. We've been asked by the largest tribe in
the state of Iowa to change the name because it is offensive. And yes, there are current students who are embarrassed by it. My daughter is embarrassed by it. She doesn't understand why in this day and age we should still hold on to a name that is offensive and hurtful to people. The response I got was, if you don't like it, you can move elsewhere. That is not why I moved my daughter back here, to face that kind of narrow-minded bigotry or whatever it's called. This issue is not going to go away. It doesn't matter if there's a whole bunch of people who still remember with pride being Indians. The next generation can remember with pride being something else. The issue is not going to go away until you decide to do away with a name that is offensive to a whole bunch of people, including people who go to school here who are not Native Americans, but offensive to a whole group of people who have begged the schools in the state of Iowa to stop calling themselves by names that they don't have any right to go by. I hoped that when we came here that this would be a kinder place, a more open-minded place for my daughter to come. And what I have seen tonight and what I've seen on Facebook by people who are so attached to a name that hope that because it held on to some glory that they associated with their football days, it's a name. And until you change it, you're still going to be dealing with this. You're still going to have people who say, go away if you don't like it. Change it to something that's more inclusive, that's not offensive, that doesn't divide our community, please.
I love the Indianola Indians. I've been here most of my life. As an Indianola Indian, I'm a warrior for Jesus Christ. I am down by the river and I live on Squaw Creek. My horse passed away, but it doesn't stop my heart. I dress like this all the time. I get in parades. I go to the Mascot dances. I sat in the Indian tent and the lady said, your heart's with us. It's how you feel in your heart, it's how you are. I'm not here to try to change anybody's attitude about changing it or keeping it, but I will always be friends with the Indians. And myself, I'm class of 77. When we go there, we're the Indianola Indians. We're proud of our Indianola name. So, God bless you all, and thank you for 2 minutes. Thank you. God bless you.
I am Brandy Ann Wilson. I live at 507 10th Street, Indianola. I have Native American Indian in my blood on both sides of my parents. I was not raised a Native American. I was not raised an Indian. Am I proud of my past? Yes. Growing up in Indianola, if it wouldn't have been for the gym floor, I would have had no idea why we were called the Indians. In all honesty. It wasn't paraded, it wasn't celebrated as a people, it was our name as our school. People keep talking about a mascot. I haven't seen a mascot since the 70s. So, I don't know why we're upset about that. We're talking about a name change, a rebranding, a logo. Right now, we have a dream catcher that I worked here for 7 years, and I had no idea it was a dream catcher. Okay? And a dream catcher comes from Ireland, Scotland, Native America, it's in the Chinese and Asian cultures, and it's also a Wicca symbol. To us, it is Indianola. It is what is on our shirts representing us as a group of people. I was staunchly against changing our name.
I think right now, after hearing everybody, it's time to make a change. It's time to bring this community back together. It is time to not label us as a people, as a culture, as another thing. The thing that I will ask is that if you do this as a school board, and I know we think it's a community issue, but nobody in the community is saying, hey, they're Indian. When I go into Des Moines as a stagehand because I live in Indianola, they only say it at school events. Can't we be the Indianola Dreamers? Our I already makes, our dream catcher already makes a D. There's no rebranding or relogoing. When the athletic boosters phase out the uniforms every 2 years, like they do with their concession sales, like they said, stop putting Indians on it. Put Indianola on it. We're dreamers. We're aware of our past. We believe in our present, and we're dreaming for our future.
My name is Danette Miller-Lickis. I'm class of '82. My dad grew up in the community of Indianola visiting the Miller family, who my uncle Rayburn lived here, Pat Miller. Little history lesson. Perhaps many of you do not know that the first coach inducted into the Iowa High School Coaches Hall of Fame was from Indianola. It was my great uncle. His name is Pat Miller. He was a coach here at Indianola High School. He was also a coach at Simpson College, the Redmond at the time. His mother was Native American, and I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud to be called an Indian here in Indianola, but I am Native American. My cousin, who is as white as snow with blonde hair and blue eyes, her husband is from a dying tribe in Oklahoma, and you would never guess that her 2 boys belonged to her. They look just like their dad. He is proud of his Native American heritage, and he's raising his boys in the traditions of their tribes, as well as the culture that they live in today. And it seems to me that through centuries, people have fought over land, over resources, over manpower, over each other, and conquering and diminishing themselves as people and enslaving one another. We could be speaking Spanish right now because the conquistadors came in. We could be speaking French. There are portions of the United States where the French people came in and took over. We've been reading about Lewis and Clark lately and how they integrated with the people when they came, the French people integrated with the Native Americans as a way to conquer them. And it's shameful, it's embarrassing, but it's something that we can learn from as we move forward in history. And I am proud of the fact that it's a conversation that we are sharing. Everybody has an opinion, but it's also an opportunity for us to learn. And if we continue to take the name Indian out of culture in our things, if we change the names because we don't want Indian representation in things anymore, we're losing a piece of our history and we're canceling an entire culture. We tried to get rid of the people 100 years ago, and they fought hard. They're still here today. So why can't we spend our resources, one, that we need to spend on our school district, on education and the things that our kids need to be successful in the future, but why can't we not also take pride in the fact that mistakes were made? Indian is maybe not what they should have been called. Oh, we ran out of time, but anyway. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. A wise man once said that you can only be offended at what you choose to be offended at.
I'd like to thank everyone for their participation in public comment tonight. Extremely proud of the respect that was shown in the room. I didn't really know what to expect tonight, and I appreciate everyone giving each other the opportunity to say their piece. With that, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. Yeah, let's take a 5-minute recess.
I need to use the restroom.
Where'd you see him? I thought he was about here. have to have
We're going to come back in the meeting here in about 2 minutes.
Is it just water? I don't want.
It's got an electrolyte. No, it's just like electrolyte. It doesn't have caffeine in it.
Okay, yeah.
You don't want to see me on caffeine.
Recess. The consent agenda is the next item. Is there any questions? Make a motion to approve. Motion made by Rob, seconded by Ben. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Mrs. Paul, presentations.
Yes, so we've not had any presentations this month, but if you will notice on the schedule that I sent out, we're going to start having our cabinet and our building administrators give presentations on a more regular basis, just on the good things that are happening within their buildings that you may not necessarily hear about. So that will start next month, and we'll have a cabinet member present for 5-10 minutes, and then a building principal present for 5 or 10 minutes.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, moving on to discussion and action items. District letter A is board consideration and possible action on director request to change the Indian nickname. Is there any discussion from the board on this topic?
I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank everybody that offered their viewpoints today and perspectives in today's meetings and our previous board meetings and through emails. I've been part of the Indianola community for 30 years, and as you all are aware, it's a great community. We've raised 4 children here, and they all attend Indianola public schools for their K-12 education. If I was to ask somebody from the Indianola community, what are some of the things that make Indianola great? I think you'd hear things like the Balloon Festival, County Fair, concerts on the square, our small businesses, our local restaurants. A change to the school's nickname would not change these things. If I was to ask one of our students, what are some of the things that make Indianola schools exceptional? What are some of the things that you're going to remember as you move on into your adult life? I think it's going to be things like, that great win when they came from behind. Maybe it's a great performance from one of our music groups. Maybe it's that one high school teacher that takes the time at the beginning of every class to proudly share details about one of the He-Man action figures in his collection. A change to our school's nickname would not detract from any of those things. I know there are passionate views on both sides of this issue, but I think a lot of it boils down to things we learned when we were a lot younger. And that is, treat others as you would want to be treated. If I had a friend or a neighbor come to me and say, this thing you're doing, or this thing you're saying, I find to be inappropriate or insulting, I would like to think that I would change my behavior and stop doing that. I would expect that my kids would also take that approach. Being kind does not take a lot of effort. It's something we can all do. It's something that improves our community. We have been made aware that our Native American students are concerned members of the community. Don't like the idea of the Indians' nickname. It's inappropriate. I think it's time that we make a change. I think it's time that we take steps to respect all of our students. I want to read a little bit from our school district's vision and core values. Part of the vision says, we want to nurture social and emotional well-being. We want to promote a culture that builds a brighter future for all. Under the core values, under integrity, it talks about doing the right thing through our words and actions with kindness aligned with values and beliefs. Also under core values, it talks about respect and honoring all individuals. I think the current use of the Indians' nickname misses the mark on several of these points in our vision and core values. And so I would make a motion that we change the nickname.
A motion has been made to change the school's nickname. Is there a second? The motion dies for a lack of second. Is there any other discussion?
I just want to mention some of the notes I've written down. This, to me, the way I see this is it's just another one of those issues out there in our world that the facts haven't really changed. Just ideology has changed. The fact is that it has always been honorable and admirable to respectfully and reverently represent the Native American culture with the nickname of the Indians, Indianola Indians. The fact is, 100 years ago, when this nickname was chosen, it wasn't disrespectful or dishonorable. And today it's not disrespectful or dishonorable. The fact is, when you choose a nickname, whatever it may be, you're choosing to intentionally, honorably, and pridefully represent that nickname. So today we live in this day and age where there's a new ideology that will tell you something's offensive or something's wrong or the science is wrong, but that doesn't make it true. The fact is we live in a time where outcry and being offended is far too easy and far too common. Words like we heard tonight, I wrote down many of them: courage, bravery, tradition, pride, strength, honor, and perseverance. These words have always been used and will always be used to describe our Native Indian culture. And Indianola does this. Indianola does this. And we need to continue to do this. To erase this culture, this heritage, part of American history, from our American landscape, it is wrong. And I, for one, will not be associated with the eradication or allow the Indian nickname or its culture to be the next victim of this new ideology. I do think we respectfully represent the nickname. We honorably do it. I do think that students for a many years are proud about that nickname, whether they have a little bit of heritage in themselves, like myself, or not. And if someone is offended by this, which I don't know how, but I don't know everything either. But then we should ask them what is offensive, and we should teach them that the school district is honorably representing their culture, their heritage. We've chosen to do that so that we can represent something that used to be here in this state, in this town, in this country, on a large scale. Now it's a very small scale. And sure, there's history, and there was a mention of conquest, and there was mention of oppression, and that's just part of history, unfortunately, and we can't change that. But what we can do is intentionally, honorably, reverently, and respectfully represent the Indian here in Indianola, and we should. And so as
my comments are to my fellow board members, Ben, Donna, Sue. You guys have been here with me since the start back in 2019. The other three of you guys, just to catch you up with where we were almost 5 years ago. In the summer of 2019, I decided to run for the Indianola School Board. I made this decision because I believed I could effectively work together as a team to advance the vision and goals set forth by our district, to help our students be challenged to their fullest potential, no matter where they were starting from, and grow into good and productive moms, dads, and community members. In late winter of 2021, while serving as board president, I reached out to the Native American Guardians Association to conduct an assessment on the nickname and logo we use in our district. I took it upon myself to research the history of American Indians in and around the Indianola area. My research showed Indianola Community Schools adopted Indians as a nickname somewhere in the 1920s. Prior to that time, there is evidence showing an American Indian tribe was in the area, as they had a formal baseball team and referred to themselves as the American Indians. Evidently, the American Indians baseball team had consistently beaten the Indianola community team in the years prior to 1902. But in 1902, the Indianola community team won for the first time. My research also showed American Indian imagery had been used for over a century in our community, and several Warren County newspapers used to publish stories of great Indians in their weekly and monthly publications. I say all of this because historical records also show our town was named after a town in Texas. While that may be true, it's also true that the Indianola community has a rich history of honoring and supporting American Indians. The Native American Guardians Association's assessment of our district's logo and nickname was completed a few weeks later with the following findings and recommendations. The The school's native nickname and imagery are both dignified and respectful. Therefore, we see no definitive need to change anything. Refrain from the use of Indian mascot performer. Widely disseminate to students, alumni, and the community at large standards for appropriate fan behavior. Widely disseminate to students, alumni, and the greater community at large both the history of the term Indians as well as the history of your school's nickname and logo. Implement ongoing American Indian educational initiatives, which should include any of a combination of curriculum. Our idea to further the educational and community initiatives was cut short because of opposition from those who would like to see our logo and nickname removed. For the last 3 years, our board has been presented with petitions from community members on the reasons why we should change our logo and nickname. While some of those petitions, written and verbal, have been informative and respectful, there's also been those who have chosen to be rude and slanderous to myself and some of you as board members. I'm a strong proponent of all community members letting us know their thoughts and opinions concerning any issue, including our nickname and logo. We live in America and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I've always taught my son to stand up for what he believes in. However, I've also taught him that when he feels offended and disrespected, it's often better to set those feelings aside, forgive, and move on. Once again, we live in America where we all are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We must get back to a time where our differently held thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are not a reason for division, but a reason for unity and strength. Thomas Jefferson once said, "I never considered a difference of opinion in politics, in religion, and philosophy as a cause for withdrawing from a friend." I would challenge each of us to set our differences of opinion aside and find commonality, community, and friendship. It is my opinion and belief that the administrators, staff members, students, community members of the Indianola Community School District have always done a good job representing our Indians' nickname in a very respectful way. We have good policies in place that make certain inappropriate language, actions, costumes, and imagery are not used. I'm proud of how our student athletes and participants represent our town and Indians' nickname both on and off the field, the court, and the stage. It is time to set the issue aside and move forward just as our students and athletes like to say as one tribe. Our board now needs to turn our focus to the business of the district, to work together as a team to advance the vision and goals set forth in our district, to help our students be challenged to their fullest potential, no matter where they're starting from, and to help them grow into good and productive moms, dads, and community members.
As we've kind of sat through this for the last 4 or 5 years, we heard a lot of the same common themes today as we've heard. We heard about mental health, we heard about safety, we heard about social media, and as we sit and kind of reflect on it all, it's never easy, right? It takes us back to some hard conversations we had to have in 2020. But it's also, some people think these are easy decisions, just do the right thing. Well, there's people on both sides of it, and so that makes it hard. I think we have to remember that each family, each classroom, each school activity, each sports team, each business in town, we all are just a small part of a big puzzle. And how that puzzle works together to create the community that we love and the community we live in. There are a lot of different people, and we need every single person in our community being passionate for what they love and what they stand up for. But we have to stop fighting our fights on social media. We have got to get our children and our families off social media, and we have to get back to understanding what it's like to talk to people face to face. Right? I cannot imagine, and my friends that are here are gonna laugh, I can't imagine before I become a friend with somebody, I start asking them what their values are, what their morals are, what their favorite food is, what party they support, right? Which church they go to, and then decide whether or not I wanna be their friend, right? Our relationships and friendships with our teachers and our families and our community members are based on fruits of the Spirit, right? We engage in friendships because people are kind and they're generous and they show self-control in topics and in situations. And so I think we have to remember that when we talk about this. There's always going to be things that I don't agree with in my own family, that I don't agree with some of my best friends on, right? But that's not what defines us. And that's not what defines all of us, right? We're passionate people. That's what makes the heart go. That's why you're all here, is because you're passionate people. But I think we always have to remember that you don't have to know someone's stories and their background and their journey to show them empathy and compassion, period. We shouldn't have to hear the hurt of the students that are offended or the hurt of the students that aren't offended to show them compassion and empathy. Right? And I think we have to remember that going forward, is that this world works because we're all different. And we're all come from different backgrounds with all different things that affect us and that have gone through our way of life and our journey. And so I think going through this is, some people might not like the response that was here tonight, but then how do you move forward? Right? How do we move forward for the greater of the community? Because that's what we have to do. Same thing as a few years ago when we had to vote hard votes. My family didn't always win those votes, but we had to go home and we had to do what the majority did and went to work, right? And went to work in the same community with all of the people that we love and adore. So I'm always honored that I get to be up here and with this board. We have a really, really good board. And I will strongly say I do a lot of work at the state capitol of things I'm passionate about. And for those of you that are really, really passionate about this, I encourage you to get with the other 66 school districts and go fight it at the state level, because that's where change can happen. But right now, we have to come to the table because our academic students need us. Our associates need our support, our teachers need our help, our guidance, our admin team works around the clock to make sure we are staffed, that we are getting the kids what they need, and that the kids are the center of all of this. And I know we heard from a few kids tonight, and I know there are a few kids that this topic is really hard to discuss, but there's 3,600 kids in our school district that need to feel safe and loved every single day, and we have staff and admin and our entire nutrition, to our bus drivers, to our librarians. I know I'm going to miss people, and I'm sorry, but we have got to be able to turn our focus to these people, because this is what makes future leaders, and that is what we need to do.
Sue stole my speech. Not to make lighthearted this issue, this is just my nature. I'm never going to yell at my kids again for squinting and not seeing on stage. These lights are bright, holy cow. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and I think you deserve to hear from all of us because we're elected officials, and you deserve to hear what's in our head. But Sue's right. You know, this is a tough job. We've been on it for 5 years now, and when we got on it, all of a sudden COVID hit, and I thought, what the heck am I doing? Like, if I wanted to get yelled at, I could have just stayed home and not emptying the dishwasher or something. But we just have to be more respectful in our conversations. You know, my English teacher in high school, being pressed, I was paying attention, and Maya Angelou said, you know, we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike, right? And there's a lot of truth to that. And we just need to respect people, and I respect Eric. It took a lot of courage for Eric to do what he did and express his opinions. And we just need to be respectful of everybody. You're not going to please everybody. You know, it's like my brother and I arguing in the back seat when we were 10 over what the best Starburst flavor was. Like, that argument is still going on. I'm 43. It has not been resolved. was an orange. My brother liked red. That's probably why we were good siblings. But anyway, Sue stole everything I was going to say, but she said it better than I could say. But just to echo that, we just need to treat everybody with more respect, value people's opinions, and value that we have diverse opinions, and that's what makes this place great. And you know, get off of social media and learn to talk to people. You know, just to give you, there was some crazy rumors going on, and everybody, I had heard that I want to change everything, and it was simply because Eric asked for this to be on the agenda, and I said it should be on the agenda because that's just the respectful thing to do to a fellow board member, as I would do to anybody on this board if they wanted something on the agenda. But then it got twisted into all these other rumors, and you know, I just wish there was like some good rumors that would start about me, like, hey, you know, that Metzger at the Y basketball league, he has a good first step for being 43, something like that. But those aren't the rumors going on. But Sue said it best, just respect each other. There's a lot of issues at hand, and this is a tough job, and we're just 7 people trying to do our best. So it's okay to think different things and like different things and believe in different things, but I think at the end of the day, we're all more alike than we are different.
Just so that you have a little background on what has happened with this Indian mascot, back in 1994, Harold Holloman, who was the superintendent, asked the department to evaluate education, asked the State of Iowa Educational Equity Review Committee to look into the Indianola, it was an Equity Review Committee, to see if Indianola was in compliance with the rules and recommendations of how to not be discriminatory, basically. And Indianola was found 11 areas of non-compliance and 2 areas of recommendations. The last, which was a new athletic name and symbol. So in 1994, this equity committee thought Indianola should probably change that, but they didn't. And so this has gone on since that time. And actually my dad was on the board during that time. So I'm real familiar with this history, and I applaud Eric for his courage and trying to educate people on exactly what it is that is discriminatory about what is happening with the Indian name. I just don't think it needs to be the decision of these 7 people in these times right now. So that's my offering for right now. But you need to understand that Indianola will probably have to change this at some point. I'm just saying. It will probably have to happen. That's it.
I hold an immense amount of respect for the 6 other individuals that are sitting to my right. If I could just give you some context around being on the school board, regardless of whether or not you grew up in this town or not, we meet at least monthly for a regular board meeting. Most of us sit on at least 2 or 3 committees that meet at 7 o'clock, either on a Tuesday or Thursday, each week throughout the month. We all get your emails, we get your Facebook messages, we get your phone calls. Our spouses and our children have to stop at the grocery store while we have conversations about the good and the bad that the community sees. This is an extremely tough job that the 7 people at this table do for no compensation other than to do the right thing for our families and our students and our staff. Personally, I have 3 kids, and they're the reason why I'm here today. We have a lot of issues that the board needs to be involved with to make the lives of all of our students a little bit better. And when we have constant conversations about the same things over and over and over again, it takes away from our ability to put effort and time into other things.
Yes.
Eric, I want to say that I'm very proud that you brought that topic up. I'm not for sure that I would have had the courage to do that. I respect that, and I applaud you for it. I want to thank, again, this board for their continued support, and I would ask that the community stay respectful when we leave here tonight, and I would ask that from now on, we look at Mrs. Paul as our new superintendent in a positive light, and we allow her to do her job, and that is to lead the district forward, to grow all of our students academically. Is there any other discussion?
Can we make a motion?
You may.
I'd just like to make a motion that we either table or suspend any further discussion on a nickname until the governor of Iowa or some state court would direct that.
There's been a motion from Ryan to table or suspend any further conversations until the governor or state board directs us to have that future conversation. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
The motion has been seconded by Rob. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 6-1. The next item on our agenda this evening is also a request from last month's meeting in regards to student placement for staff members at the elementary level. Mrs. Paul would like to give a little bit of context and update on this item.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've done over the past 45 days or so is had conversations around this exact topic. And what I would request of you is to give us time to work through this over the next few months and bring a process back. Truly evaluate the process that we have, because I do think it's a way that we can, people talk tonight about keeping TAs, keeping teachers. One thing that maybe we can do is to keep TAs and teachers is to have their kids in the same buildings with them. But that's a process. That's looking at everybody, because it's not just teachers and TAs, it's custodial staff, it's our cooks, it's everybody. So we want to make sure that we're that inclusive with all people, and so we do need to dig into that data a little bit. How many are we talking about? Who wants to make that request? What's the feasibility of that with our current class sizes? And can that be implemented next year? And so I just ask that you give me a little bit of time to work through that. It's not a policy, it's a procedure that's in place that I think our administrative team can work through.
Thank you, Mrs. Paul. With that being said, it'd be the recommendation of... I was just going to finish one thought real quick.
Okay.
And then I'm going to ask the question that you're going to want to hear.
I'll let you.
The recommendation would be that we allow the administration to do some further review on this and come back to the board with a recommendation. But if there's any discussion that you guys would like to have now, that would be fine.
No, I'll ask.
How soon do you see it happening?
How
soon do you see it happening?
Depending on how big of a change, depending on how many kids and things, what I'd like to see is something for next year. I just don't have enough data yet to really to know that.
Any other questions?
And I will say we're still working through enrollment of this year. Right? We still have open enrollment requests come in, which is why I need to make sure that I give Ray and his team time just to breathe a little bit before we say, okay, now here's our next one. So that's kind of where we are and why we don't have a recommendation for you right now.
Next item on the agenda is the IT committee report.
So update from our IT committee meeting, data automation project is nearly finished. We got an update on the security grant that is being used to install cameras inside and outside the buildings, making good progress there. And we also got a tour of our district operations center, which is very fancy.
Any questions for the IT committee?
I would say if you haven't toured the District Operations Center, schedule time to do that. It is a really neat building, and we're very, very lucky to have it.
Chad, it's your time to shine. And just to give a little context, since the Hawkeyes lost, Chad had to wear a cyclone tie to the meeting tonight.
Yeah, you noticed the socks? Yeah, I got the cyclone socks. They're actually Kit Kat socks, but I don't have any cyclone gear. But yes, thank you, President Rankin. I appreciate that. Monthly financial reports included in your packet there. Obviously, we're just in the early parts of the fiscal year and actually working on closing out the previous fiscal year this week, so there'll be a lot more and accurate reporting coming your way. And of course, the Finance Committee next week will meet and we'll review a lot more of the financial reports. But otherwise, those are in there for your information if you have any questions.
Moving along to the Finance Committee report.
I think we're at a facilities report.
I'm sorry, did I look at the wrong one? We got a new computer program. You're right. I opened the right one.
Facilities, we talked about the new district operations center, just going through some punch list items, just kind of fixing some issues up that are always there, it seems, with new construction, some leaky pipes, there was some, when we had that heavy rain or some rain that got underneath the main entrance door, so just finishing that up. Bernie updated us on some of the high school projects. They just finished fireproofing the wrestling room that was complete. The greenhouse out behind high school was successfully moved. And several small changes have been made. Some steel precasts are expected to be going up in October, so that'll be exciting. Then an update on the baseball softball project that was mentioned last board meeting. We have been pledged a very generous donation. Initially it was just for baseball, and then the same donor decided to pledge an additional amount of money for softball. But it was decided to hold off on both of those projects until July of 2025, just for the simple fact that it would, the architects and just that was their recommendation to be able to do both of those projects at the same time, just because of the scope of the project, which makes sense. So that's exciting. And then what was the rest of the stuff? That was it. Did I miss anything?
No, you're good.
All right, the next item, letter C, is to consider the acceptance of the fiscal year 2023 audit report.
Yeah, including in your packet, excuse me, the 2023 audit report, as I mentioned earlier, working this week really towards the 2024 audit report and finishing those financials. But in July, we received our 2023 audit report, and then last month, our audit committee that the district has, that has Mr. Keller on it, plus 3 people from the community, reviewed the audit report, made some comments, asked some questions, and otherwise we're bringing it to the board now for acceptance. Obviously, the key points are unmodified opinions, so the highest level of opinion from the auditors, 2 two small findings that were mostly inconsequential, and obviously we'll work to correct. Otherwise, from a financial statement standpoint, the district's solid footing. Obviously, with the construction project on board and bondholders looking at those documents, this audit report becomes even more important that we are financially strong.
Motion to accept the audit report for the fiscal year 2023 from Nolte, Cornman, and Johnson PC as presented.
Motion made by Rob, seconded by Sue. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I went through that report last night, and he's about 50% off. But it's okay.
Travis, thanks for coming tonight. We're at the end of the motion. You guys made a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is unanimous. The next item is the consideration of directing the sales of GO Bond Series 2024.
So yeah, earlier today, our financial advisor from Piper Sandler and I opened our bids. Of course, opening bids these days is just clicking a button, but open bids, and he's going to give us the results of that bidding. And if you looked in your documents, there was a document there that kind of stated the recommended bidder for your consideration. Travis.
Okay. Well, I've gotten a chance to speak in depth on a lot of items with the Finance Committee, but it's been a while since it's been the full board, so it's good to speak with you all. I put together a short packet. I'm going to go through each line by line and find 50 cents, maybe 65 cents if we're lucky. In terms of what we'll walk through tonight, I'll just give a brief overview of the process. For some of you, like I said, we haven't had a chance to dialogue with questions outside of the Finance Committee, so appreciate the opportunity to come speak tonight. In general, I can make some other comments about your guys' board decorum, the way you guys have handled tonight, and I just want to offer my support for you guys. It's a very difficult conversation you've had to have, and as a board, I was really pleased to see how you interacted with each other. We don't see that in all school boards across the state, so I do just want to offer that up. I do spend a lot of time at school board meetings, so I can't call myself an expert on school board meetings, but I'm getting pretty close. In terms of what we'll walk through today is just an overview of the process, where your results ended up, and then talk a little bit about next steps in terms of your financing profile, and just a little brief overview of what you should expect. So in terms of the overview, your school district has had a debt service levy right around $4.05 per thousand for many years. You have that rate in this upcoming fiscal year. That's the maximum you can have within the state of Iowa. The new debt will solve within that levy limit this year, and your final payment will be $20.44 on this debt that will be issued. It's the third of what we think will be 4 debt issues on the general obligation debt for phase 1 of the high school project that is underway. Our remaining debt structure, which encompasses what we'll call phase 2, will likely have debt stretched out to 2049. We had a lot of good results today. We'll speak a little bit more in the summary on that. In terms of our process, as Chad mentioned, we went through a bond rating process where your bond rating was affirmed by Moody's Investor Services at AA3. So in terms of where you've been in the past and where you're going, despite the fact that you're taking on a significant project and additional debt, your finances still remain strong. Obviously, as a school board, you do a lot of things to operate the district, so setting all your things up so that you make a rating agency happy may not be priority number 1, because you have to operate a school district. That being said, there are things that you do as a board with respect to following through on policies, setting reasonable targets, that do help your cost of borrowing and your bond rating. So that does benefit the the taxpayers for you to have prudent financial activity and policies, which you've done for a long time. Going back to my time working with Darcy here, John and Chad, just continuing that legacy. And I think a lot of that does happen. You spoke to it earlier, the hard work of the school board and committees, meeting and as a finance committee. I mean, you guys drill questions pretty hard. So you guys, certainly dive in and are prudent with your financial management. So that's appreciated. A little bit about your result today. We typically see about 50 to 60 firms take down your bond documents to review. You received 7 bids today, which has really been in line where we've seen some recent bond sales. Gilbert a few weeks ago had 7 bids as well on their bond sale. Your results were due 1 today. You had the 7 bids. Chad and I sat in on a Zoom meeting and took the bids, opened them, and they come ranked automatically by what we call your true interest cost or your average rate. And so your results, as you get into page 6, do show a ranking with Janney Montgomery Scott LLC out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania as your low bid at a 38154. You'll see the next 3 bids, and I told Chad I don't think I've ever seen the next 3 bids be as close as they are. 3.8354, 3.8355, 3.8359%. So we're looking out to the 4th decimal place on an average rate on $15 million worth of debt. You might think, wow, that's really amazing. Well, what it tells me is they basically all have the same investors that wanted to buy the bonds, and they just decided they were going to work for different amounts. Because the combination of the average rate is both the rate as well as the underwriter's compensation or fee that they're charging you when they're buying bonds. And then you see a 385, being that close to the win and being the 5th place bid, you really had a nice result today. The next couple slides then are going to deal with just a quick summary of the bidding results. I don't need to get into bond math language with you today on premium, discounts, par, etc. Just know that we did have to go through a resizing on your debt. There are some IRS restrictions that keep you under $15 million of issue price in order to qualify for certain types of exemptions on your investment income. So we sought those for you, and so this is resized down to a final 14,645, which is what you'll see in your resolution later. And the rate did drop to 3.8141. So the details of the other bids then are listed. I put in a whole host of information that the finance committee's seen. They're tired of seeing these numbers, but on page 11, I did want to give you just a little bit of a what's next. And so the boxes I highlighted in yellow are really the focus here. What's left to issue on the general obligation bonds? Out of the $70 million of voter authority, you sold 19.9 prior today, 14,645 today. You've got about 35 million left, so you've sold about half of that debt. You only need about 14 million of that to finish up phase 1 of the project. You'll have to wait until 2025, probably selling in April would be my guess. With the sales tax bonds, you've got about 30.5 million left. That includes a restructure or reserve fund, so about 25 million of project funds. And then if you look at your other resources, we are anticipating right now about $3.3 million of investment income on the project. So that's in part due to the fact that you've sold $20 million of debt. You've got a lot of that already in the bank. And then as you sell debt and take on construction costs, these aren't construction loans where you take draws. In the bond markets, you take the full money at the draw and then it's invested until you spend it. We'll have to manage that, moderate it, keep monitoring that cash flow. So the other pages of details, given the constraints of tonight and how long we've already been here, we're going to skip those. Finance Committee, you'll get some more details on those later. So I'm just going to move right into the summary. A couple key points here. Your interest rates today were a little better than expected. It keeps us on track. It's better than your prior financial models, in some part due to market movement, and some, as we've talked throughout this, just being a little conservative with the estimates. You're on track to deliver on your tax rate promises, so there's nothing that's going to change there. And then I would say your results today were positive with respect to your funds. One of the things that we've looked at as we move through the model is keeping ability for future projects to still happen. So while we've not modeled out any new debt projects or new debt issues, as we continue to, what I'll say, check off good results, it does allow for those other project conversations to not be 20 years in the future, but maybe 10 as you get through some of these projects. We will recommend acceptance of the bid from Janney Montgomery Scott. You have a resolution with that. And I'd say the last thing that I will say is we will probably plan to issue the rest of the debt to fund phase 1 in the spring. So that will be momentous. You will be issuing a large amount of debt in the spring, roughly $14 million of voted bonds, and then that $30.5 million of sales tax. There is a chance now that you may not need to do the debt restructure, so that'll be a topic for the Finance Committee as we work through that. We will make certain that you are having enough surplus to continue to meet your ongoing needs. So at this time, I'll yield the mic from the floor. Chad, Tara, if you have anything else to add, you certainly can, but we'll answer any specific questions.
Travis, has there been any talk of how valuations should come in this next round?
Well, with residential property values, they typically go under reassessment every other year. So as we start looking at this next year's assessment, you're likely to see the shift in the state rollback rate, which will happen. So that will likely drive property values up in that 3% range. And then any new growth that you may be seeing or specific, but I'll say reevaluations in various counties do take place. So I'm not hearing anything out of the ordinary there. As a school district, you're not exposed to a lot of commercial industrial, which during these next couple of years may be a good thing. As we kind of wait to see how that, I guess I would say the commercial real estate market recovers from, I guess we'll say the work from home bubble, if I can call it that. I wouldn't expect anything outside of ordinary growth. We might start to hear something in the next couple months, but I haven't heard anything today.
Thanks.
Let's looking for a motion to accept the sealed bid. Motion made by Ben, seconded by Rob. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Just interrupt, President, we do have roll call though, it's not these.
Oh. Roll call.
Mac Rankin.
Aye.
Ben Metzger. Aye. Rob Keller.
Aye.
Eric Christensen.
Aye.
Donna Kramer.
Yes.
Ryan Worley.
Aye.
And Sue Wilson.
Aye.
Moving right along here. The next item is the resolution regarding officers at TCM Bank. We need to update to add Chad, Stacy, and Kathy to be authorized, empowered to authorize transactions from that financial institution.
Motion to authorize the aforementioned people.
I'll second.
Motion made by Penn, seconded by Sue. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call on this one as well since it's a resolution.
No.
Roll call.
Yeah. Mac Rankin.
Aye.
Ben Metzger.
Aye.
Rob Keller.
Here, aye.
Eric Christensen.
Aye.
Donna Kramer. Ryan Worley.
Aye.
Sue Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you. Board Policy Committee report.
We have policy? Okay. You got Eric. Eric takes the best notes. Eric takes the best notes.
Policy meeting covered a variety of topics. The main ones we're focused on, or that we covered, use of social media by board members, about Title IX training, sex discrimination, and pregnancy discrimination were the I guess, the highlights or the main areas of focus.
The new ones, are those coming down from the state?
106. Yep.
All of the 106s are new, and for the most part, everything was left. There was a few things that we wordsmithed, but no substantial changes were made on those. And the other thing that we talked about at the end of that was having IASB do a complete review of all of our policies and seeing how they align with the current recommended policies from their library. And then we can, as a board, probably as a committee first, but review what the differences are and if we need to make any changes. That'll at least get us caught up to current recommendations from IASB.
And they add any code changes or legal references that we have to have as part of those that sometimes just we don't think about. And so we just kind of update and scrub those a little bit for us. Now when reaching out to them, the docket's full until the end of 2025?
August of 2025 is when we're looking for.
So
they're back on.
So we will operate as normal until then.
Any questions for the policy committee?
Motion to approve first reading of the policy.
Motion made by Ben. Second by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Last item is the board calendar. Nothing tomorrow.
Thursday.
Thursday is curriculum, next Tuesday is finance, next Thursday is HR, the following Tuesday is technology, following Thursday is policy. Reminder of the October 3rd special board meeting to close the bonds from tonight at 7 a.m.
Facilities meeting anyway.
Right before facilities, yep.
7 a.m. and that's a special.
Do they have to be in person or can they do those over the phone?
So we can have them join electronically.
Okay. If you would like to call in, let us know.
For which one?
For the special meeting on the 3rd.
October 3rd.
We are waiting on a couple hires that there's just paperwork that needs to be done before we make board recommendation. If we call one of those special board meetings and take it on to a morning meeting where we would already have 3 and then have people just call in or pop in for a 5-minute meeting, would that be okay? All right.
I won't go into the October.
Hold on. We can't hear.
Huh?
We can't
We
hear
can only hear.
what Tara said, so I'm just telling you. Thank
so
you.
we have a couple hires that we're waiting on paperwork and processes to finish up that we can't make a recommendation on them yet. So our hope is that we could call a special meeting tagged onto something that's already scheduled.
Oh.
And then people could call in if need be, or you can come right in and then we would go right into that committee meeting versus calling a meeting on a day that you wouldn't already be committed to board work.
That sounds good.
Just trying to make it a little more seamless for you, so you're not adding to your calendars.
Yeah, thank you.
We're already there that day.
Yeah.
October 10th curriculum meeting is missing on that list.
Cabinet, anything from you guys on the September?
Yeah, the October 10th curriculum meeting is missing off of that list.
Curriculum meeting on October 10th.
October 10th.
Curious on if anyone from the board is interested in attending convention, IASB convention in November. So Wednesday, Thursday.
I think I can this year.
Hold on, I'm still back a number here. Let me get this meeting in my calendar.
Just a reminder, we don't have to discuss it tonight, but just a reminder to take a look at that if anyone is interested in going.
Oh, you put the dates in. That convention.
Oh, the convention,
in November.
Donna, you don't want to go?
I think that's a yes.
Oh,
Who's the
yeah.
representative?
Who's the representative that goes to that early? And do we have a?
The delegate assembly?
Now, are you, you don't know?
Donnie, didn't you hear that? You were just voted to go.
I think Brian's really good at that stuff.
Brian's like, I have patience.
I think it was Sue.
Yeah, it is. I thought it was.
What day is it? If it's a Wednesday, yes.
It's Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday?
It's Wednesday what?
November 20th.
Not yet. Okay, I will tentatively put that on Sue Wilson's schedule.
Thank you, Sue.
What time is that? What time are we talking?
I'll look it up and take a look at it. All
Thanks
right.
for reading the Friday update, Sue.
I do. Okay, got it.
Entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Ben. Seconded by Rob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Have a great night.